Feng Shui in classrooms. So classrooms are very complex creatures. There are many facets to a classroom, so I'll try to simplify as much as I can. So in every classroom, there's actually three main sources of energy, but I'll start with two. One of them is the front door, where the kids come in and they go out. They associate this with dread of coming to school and freedom of leaving school. The second source of energy is the teaching wall, basically the side of the classroom where you teach, the blackboard, the whiteboard, where you expect your students to stare at you while you teach and learn stuff from you. Normally, these two sources of energy are in opposition of each other because they give very different vibes. This one is about movement, about freedom. This one is about learning, about entrapment. I mean, like this, a totally different vibe. You know, you want them to stare at you, and that's not what they naturally want to do. So if you put your teaching wall over here, for example, and you put your desks like that and expect your kids to learn, it's not going to work, and I tell you why. Because they enter here and they have never fully immersed themselves into the room. Their zone is still around here, and here you are in a very different part of the classroom. Their heart is not within the classroom, their heart is still within the door. It's very hard for them to focus with the door and the freedom right behind them, and you are in the most unattractive part of the room. To regain their focus, my suggestion is to turn things around. So when they come into the classroom every morning, they make a full loop into the classroom, they claim the entire room, they are in the command position staring at the door naturally, and they stare at you at the same time. And this is how you naturally retain their attention, because they're always gazing towards this. Now, initially I talked about there's three energy. The third energy is actually the window. Where's my window? Yes, the window. So the window is a third source of energy, and it's a bit like the door. It gives this sense of freedom, but you can't actually physically go out. So in this sense, the window gives this idea of distraction. So here you are, if the window is behind the classroom like this, you will have the same problem. Here they are trying to focus on you, and yet they have this kind of idea of freedom behind them. So they're trying to focus between the two different sides. This makes it a bit distracting and difficult. In an ideal situation, the window is usually perpendicular to the desks. So they kind of have a good dose of freedom, yet they can stare at you. They don't feel trapped in the room. I mean, of course, we can't control where the window is in the classroom. Let's say it's really here. What to do? Then you put your teaching wall on this side, so they are staring at you like this with the window in a comfortable position, like that. Now, if the window was on this side of the classroom, what happens is that you have all the sources of freedom over here. And it makes this part of the classroom feel a little bit dead. So you kind of want to inject a bit of energy into this classroom by having nice pictures or resources and things like that. But on the topic of resources, this is a very dead part of the classroom, so nobody actually goes there. You want to have something that actually physically attracts people to that. So for example, you have the lockers over here. I mean, it doesn't make sense. The lockers, you want to be close to the door. So you have something else, like if there is a place that if there is a chill out area, right? If there's a chill out area, you put the chill out area over there so that they will naturally kind of congregate over there if they want to, and that kind of gives this room a source of energy as well. And that will bring us to the next point, which is about zoning of classrooms. Okay, so if you need to zone a classroom, let's clear all these things right now. I'll leave the window over here, why not? Yeah, I'll leave the window. So if we need to zone a classroom, so let's say that the two most basic zones is, one is the teaching, learning area, the boring side, and two is the fun side where they kind of chill and they congregate and they collaborate, that kind of things. Now, understanding that this is the energy again, do not put the boring side on the inside and the fun side on the outside. The reason is that when they come into the classroom every morning, they will always congregate around the fun side. No matter what, this is like the dreaded side where, I have to learn, very boring, I don't like it, I can't wait to go in and finish it and go to the fun side. If you put the fun side next to the door, next to the fun energy, they will come in and their heart would once again never fully immerse into the room. They are always here, sitting on the table, chatting, bullying each other, and then this is class, come, let's talk about boring stuff. Then they are forcefully pulled into this no man's land. If you were to drag it to the other side, let's say I put the fun area here and the learning area there, I'll rotate it like this. Yeah, I'll rotate it like this because this is a bit better. Then in the morning, they will come in, they will kind of focus, they will naturally draw themselves to this area to chit chat and talk, and then it's less of a obstacle to get them here because this is halfway through the door. They will naturally walk through this way to get the door anyway. So this makes the whole room more evenly energized, put it that way. So you can see why just flipping the positions of these two things can make a world of a difference in how your students feel and use their room. In a situation like this, by flipping everything, nobody will want to come to here. This is like a boring side of the classroom. They want to play around here. Their focus is towards the door behind them, the window behind them, and not towards you. If we flipped everything around, suddenly the focus is naturally towards the door, towards the blackboard, and there is this front area, and the whole classroom is evenly flushed with energy. The next point I want to make is where the teacher's desk is. Now, the teacher's desk location does make a difference in the energy, the general energy of the room. For example, if the teacher's desk was here, it will make this area super fun because you are far away from them, and it will make this area quite intense. If you put your teacher's desk over here, for example, it will like make them feel like more on guard, because you're here. They can't really fully be fun. So it might automatically turn this area into a bit of a chill out space when the classroom is not being in use. I mean, this is up to you what your pattern is and what your style is, but where you put your teacher table is let's call it a fourth source of energy, like of something a bit more high pressure. But whatever they say, like your teacher's desk doesn't actually have to be in the command position of the classroom, because you are normally walking around. You kind of want to give your students a better position of the classroom. That's why they should be in more command. Everybody should naturally be facing towards the door. This is also a safety issue. If anything happens in the classroom, I mean, like this, going back to traditional old-fashioned feng shui style where you have enemies trying to kill you and stuff like that, you kind of want to be on guard and being able to see the door. And that's why we try to not sit like that with your back towards the door, because it makes everyone feel a bit more like on the edge. So you don't really have to be in the command position if like you are sacrificing yourself for the sake of the students. Like if you sit like that so they can sit like this, fine, you do it. Okay. I mean, but this is not a really good position for the desk. You want your desk like kind of tucked away. So I think in this classroom, I will put the teacher's desk somewhere here just to plant your work stuff. Can be here if you want, up to you. Maybe this is better so that you can like be there and like give this stern feeling. And this is the play area. You have more resources over here. The resources is an interesting thing. It only works if there is a space that they will park at the end of the day. If your classroom is just a single-use classroom, no play area, just for study, the resources should be in the front of the classroom. Otherwise, nobody will ever go and get their resources from the back of the classroom. In a situation like this, what will happen is that this is kind of a very low energy part of the classroom. This is where the bullies will gather, the bad people will gather, because this is far from you and all the smart people are in front, and so you have all the people behind like doing their all naughty stuff. So to counter this, you want to have have a reason for everyone to always go to the back. Be it a little sink to wash their brushes or something like that at the back. If you can make them always get their resources, like if you make this a very active part of classroom life, that where people always go to the back and front, then this will kind of flush out that dead energy, which will nurture that kind of dead energy at the back. So I hope this lesson was not too confusing. A classroom really has a lot of factors to think about, but the main point I want to drive is the energy from the door, from the teaching wall, from the window, and from the people inside, and how all these things can affect the dynamic of a classroom. So now you know!